We are back for another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm extremely excited today. We have our first international guest, and I'm happy that we're kicking it off from an international guest from Nigeria. You are listening to the Tech Behind FinTech. We are a technology show that talks about the technology behind FinTech and disruptive technologies. Today's episode, we're going to be exploring cryptocurrency usage in Nigeria. And I have no other than Chiagozie Iwu. Let me introduce Chiagozie to the show. Chiagozie Iwu is the founder and CEO of CI Cryptosolutions, a company that owns and operates NigerCrypto.com exchange and NigerPay.io payment gateway, as well as developing blockchain solutions and consulting for other firms. He is a seasoned blockchain enthusiast and possesses ample experience formulating derivative contracts as well as portfolio structuring in both cryptocurrency and traditional markets. He has also created a cryptocurrency index called BAR WI30, which focuses on tailoring the index to cryptocurrency market characteristics and risk. He is a certified blockchain and finance expert with a core focus on financial applications on blockchain technology. Chiagozie, welcome to the show. Very happy that you're here. Very happy that you're here. So,
my pleasure.
To let everyone know, we have our first comment. We have somebody saying, Niger representing, all day.
Where is that?
So let me give you some background on today's show and why we this topic. So a few weeks ago, we, part of our show, we do the news article and then we move into the actual topic of the day. So about 2 to 3 weeks ago, there was a news article that we covered that talked about Nigeria's central bank prohibiting cryptocurrencies from banks in Nigeria. We talked about it briefly. After that episode, I was extremely curious. So I went out and I, wanted to find more information. Chiagozie popped up with he has a crypto exchange in Nigeria, and he popped up, we connected, and I said, listen, I want to get you on the show and I want to get your opinion. During that process of researching that, I found out some interesting stats in terms of Nigeria's usage of cryptocurrency that I'm even unaware. Obviously, you could tell by my name, Nigerian, by way of Brooklyn, New York. So, and a lot of these stats I didn't know. So I just really wanted to touch base, bring an expert from Nigeria that's in Nigeria, that's doing business in Nigeria, that's been a blockchain enthusiast since 2012. Wanted to bring him on the show and really get his take and just understand everything. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot, Nnamdi, for having me.
No problem at all. So, okay, let's see some other comments. OC again is saying Stella Cred sounds like there's a crypto biz pioneer. Yes, he is. And we're going to talk about Niger Pay. Let's see what Ben is saying from the comments. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. All right, so guys, you're familiar with the show and how we proceed with it. Before we get into the topic of the day, we're going to talk about a news article, and then we're going to shift to the topic of the day. So I think a news article that I want to cover that's actually relevant, BitcoinPaperWallet.com. Basically, there's a back door in BitcoinPaperWallet.com that appears to feature its code. It shares private keys. So you had a lot of people that use that wallet essentially lose their Bitcoin. It's an online paper-based wallet. And I wanted to basically touch base on that. So let's give some background, first of all, because people might not understand. What is a Bitcoin wallet, right? I'll have Chiagozie answer that question.
Okay. Bitcoin wallet basically is like a public key, right? Which you can use to receive in simple terms, right? It's like a public key which you can use to receive bitcoins from people. You can use it to receive, you can use it to store. Of course, there are wallets that have features of just receiving, but most wallets has the feature of receiving and storing cryptocurrency. So it's like a public key which you share with people, right? Meanwhile, your private key is what encrypts this public key, basically. That
Thank you for that. So in the case of BitcoinPaperWallet.com, you have differences between what they call a hot wallet and a cold wallet. Cold wallet is you have it offline. You take that private key, as Chiagozie mentioned, and then you store it offline. The hot wallet is more so online. So in this case, there's a way that they generate the private keys using this technology. Essentially, when someone did that, when the users were doing that, in the code itself, there seems to be a backdoor access where someone with access to their source code and their servers got a bunch of private keys. And so just to tell you the issue, one user within a minute of depositing 14.5 Bitcoins, at the time it was worth over 500,000, now 700,000, all gone. It was basically be taken. So that's obviously a huge lesson to be learned in terms of, because a lot of people are used to buying Bitcoin on exchanges. So you have central exchanges like Niger Crypto. Once you take it off the exchange and manage it yourself, that's when, in terms of using technology like Bitcoin paper wallet, that's when the compromise happened. Just want to get your take on that, Chiagozie.
here, these actually something I speak about a lot, right? The use of hard wallets, like online. It's cool, believe me. A lot of people do not want to go into the complexities of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So these hot wallets are like their introduction into receiving and accepting Bitcoins, right? And also moving on Bitcoins. And there are a lot of good hot wallets out there. It's not all of them that have backdoors, but as I tell people, once you do not control the keys, this is not your coin. Once you're not the one controlling and generating the key, right, and you are the only one that has access to your private key, you do not control the coins. So the best way always to store cryptocurrencies is using offline storage, right? Preferably your hard wallets, because there are a lot of them there, like Ledger Nano, Trezor wallets, a lot of them out there, right? But once I run an exchange, so I have an interest in people storing their cryptocurrencies on our exchange, but still we have to educate people on what this is. No exchange is safe, right? Not even the biggest exchange, right? Even if the exchange does everything right in terms of security, right? You have the user side compromise. You could be compromised. So that's why your hard wallet is very, very, very important.
No, I mean, thank you for that. I mean, as you mentioned, I know in reading about like an exchange like Coinbase, for instance, they have, I think, 98% of their actual crypto is stored cold wallet. And they have that extra 2% for liquidity purposes when people trade. And, if they lose it, it's insured. If someone now compromises your password and gets into your account, that's a whole different story. We have another comment. Even though it says LinkedIn user, I'm looking. This is from Medina Williams. She's going to be a guest next week. Sounds like a market for crypto insurance. Interesting point. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the crypto insurance market is actually a very big one, right? We personally at Niger Crypto, we have our crypto wallets insured, and we also use the hard. In fact, we do not do 98%. We do 100, right? All is cold storage, right?
I
And
like that.
you understand. So basically, the market for crypto insurance is a big one. It's currently ongoing. There are a lot of big players within the market currently, and on most exchanges, right, including ours, at least 80% of your funds are insured, right? And we at Niger Crypto, we're currently working towards a way to make at least to increase that number to over 80% of funds being insured, basically. That's
A question on that. I think from and maybe I don't know if Medina meant this from the comment, but I'm actually have a question for that. In terms of crypto insurance, is there insurance for the individual user, I understand from the exchange perspective if you get compromised, but if I have my Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency offline, I haven't heard of that yet, and maybe you have insurance from an individual user perspective.
That is not so common currently, right? That's not so common. There is a market for that, right? Because most individuals actually feel that, oh, if the exchange is insured, I might as well just insure it, right? And if I'm storing offline, I own my private keys, right? So the market for individual insurance is going to be a bit delicate because exchange there are structures, there's wallet structures, there are multi-signatory wallets, right? It can be monitored from flow A to flow B to flow C, right? But when it comes to individual wallets this time, it's just you. You just own your private keys, right? So there is no proof of activity. There is no proper proof of activity. For instance, I can decide to lose my wallet, right? But I have not lost the wallet, but I can claim I've actually lost this wallet. I've lost my keys, right? And I can get an insurance settlement. And 30 years later, I use these private keys and get the funds out, right? When nobody's watching, right? And believe me, I can also claim that this funds that my private key was stolen, probably, right? So basically, the market for it does not seem practical just yet, right? On terms of offline storage for the user side, but in terms of online storage, it's very practical, it's very possible, right? And believe me, even aside that, there are a lot of derivative contracts being structured to be backed by your cryptocurrencies, and we at Niger Crypto we're working on some of those, but basically exchange insurance seems like the way to go for now.
Got it. I think Medea says where she was going next. Listen, there's a lot to talk about in terms of the topic, so I want to now cut our news portions short and jump into the topic. Before we start looking at exploring cryptocurrency usage in Nigeria, can you tell us more about Niger Crypto, and so we can get an understanding of that, and then we can dive into the topic.
Okay, Niger Crypto is a centralized exchange, right? One of our core goals was initially was serving the Nigerian market, right? Of course, we have the normal crypto to crypto pairs, which are more popular on most exchanges, right? But we're one of the first people to actually give users the opportunity to have crypto to fiat pairs. What do I mean? It's not just BTC USDT. They could transfer BTC against Nigerian Naira and have real-time liquidity for these products, right? And the way we're structured, we route liquidity through big exchanges and manage risk and manage activity in such a way that Nigerians can actually trade with using the Nigerian Naira. And currently, we are also expanding these fiat markets. We're expanding to Kenya very soon. We've already expanded to Kenya, and we currently have Kenyans using this exchange, right? We're also about to expand to South Africa and Ghana. And the aim is to cover not just the whole of Africa, but even the UAE, Dubai, the Middle East, and hopefully someday the United States and Europe. So basically, that's what the exchange is all about. But it goes beyond that, right? We are also trying to create a parallel financial system, which Africa needs, because financial inclusion in Africa is basically very, very poor. What do I mean, right? We're looking at a situation whereby we have a system of tokenized securities, tokenized real estate, tokenized assets, right? Being traded on a peer-to-peer form, and with units being one can use as low as 1,000 naira, which is basically less than $2, right? About $2 or so, right? So even buy some of all these assets. So you have people that are going to be exposed in asset classes that on a normal day they would not be exposed to. So that's what Niger Crypto is all about. Create a parallel financial system with everything. And of course, we also have a payment gateway, Niger Pay, which enables e-commerce companies in Nigeria, both those that have websites and even the normal seller that advertises and stuff on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, does not have a website, so receive cryptocurrency payments. And they could also hedge their payments. What do I mean, right? They do not have to worry about volatility if they use a feature on that app, right? Whatever payments they receive it in Naira or US dollar, actually. So that's the goal. Just serve the consumer, bringing people into the crypto world to be financially inclusive.
Listen, I think the goal is amazing. I know when I researched the company, started in March 2019, and what you've been able to accomplish thus far to me is simply amazing. So definitely hats off. Due to how the Naira and different fiat currencies, especially on the continent, fluctuates, it's definitely a way for people to store like wealth and generate wealth to make it on an even playing field with the rest of the world. So I'm totally impressed by your goal, what you've already accomplished, and so forth. It's totally amazing. I wish I would have known about it, sooner. To be honest with you, but I'm really happy that I know about it now. So, question now. So, as we reported a few weeks ago, with the Central Bank of Nigeria basically prohibiting banks in the country from leveraging or using crypto for account holders, we saw that in that article and that we read, different startups were scrambling now to find banks outside of Nigeria. How has that impacted? What are you seeing on the ground? It's one thing for me to read an article. It's another thing for me to talk to someone actually doing business in that space in Nigeria. How has it impacted you? How has it impacted others? What are you seeing?
Well, first of all, the central bank news came as a shock to
February 5th, I think it was, correct?
Yeah, it was a shock to all exchange operators because we were just talking about regulations with the SEC, right? We were trying to get licenses from the SEC, in which the SEC had approved licenses for a lot of us, not just Niger Crypto. You also have a couple of other locally based exchanges that had licenses. Then only for another regulatory body to come in and say, no, we're not doing this, right? These banks close all accounts belonging to cryptocurrency exchanges or people you feel dealing in cryptocurrencies. So yes, it came as a shock. We were expecting more compliance. In fact, a week before that, I was integrating the bank verification number, right? It's basically the Nigerian equivalent of a social security number, right? The verification equivalent, right, of to actually regulators.
Chiagozie, I think the connection.
Also tax capital gains and even tax activities on this exchange, only for the central bank to then come and do it. It shocked all of us, right? It put us for almost 4 days, right? We had to close deposits and withdrawals. That's Naira deposits and withdrawals on the exchange, right? And of course, the activity for the crypto pairs remained the same. It was still very high, right? It even got higher. That's when we talk about the BTC against the stable coins like USDT, BUSD, and the rest. But the Naira pairs on the exchange, that's the Naira against Bitcoin, Naira against lots of over 20 cryptocurrencies, right? The liquidity on those particular fell drastically by over 70%. It's beginning to pick up, right? Because we're now trying to encourage more of the peer-to-peer markets for deposits and withdrawals. It's picking up quite a bit, but it's just not being the same, right? And we strongly hope that things will pick up, right? Because we're not dependent on the regulators. No cryptocurrency person in this world has ever depended on the government agency to come and actually make things better for them, right? So it's all about innovating and actually building up the space, even when the government is not helping the case, right? Our Kenyan operation has kicked off and is beginning. And by what I see, right, by the time we integrate Kenyan banking APIs, which we're almost doing, is going to blow up. The situation with South Africa is going to be the same. With Ghana, is going to be the same. So hopefully Nigeria will see what is going on in these other African countries and change their mind. And currently, we're seeing some moves towards actually having this ban overturned, basically.
So the pivot, it sounds like you started to work with other banks in neighboring countries to start facilitating these payments.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, so did you get any notice before this February 5th, or it just happened so abruptly?
In fact, the only notice we got was that the CBN wants to improve compliance, right? As I told you, we're already integrating some systems that will improve compliance by exchanges, right? So that was what we were told. We're even happy because we're like, oh, the CBN is now looking at making exchanges comply. It shows that they are okay with the system, right? Only for the morning of February 5th, I got a call from my bank. First of all, we saw a circular that the
really?
So yeah, we just saw a circular out of the blue. The CBN has told all banks to shut cryptocurrency exchanges down. Like 30 minutes later, I got a call from my bank. Yeah, hello, we need to close your account as soon as possible. Like,
That's crazy.
only for me to log in. In fact, like we have like 6 operational bank accounts. At least some of the banks had the due to call us. Some just shut the accounts down, right? Just like that, saying this is a regulatory directive. And it seriously puts us in panic, right? Because we're holding customer funds to withdraw this fiat. Well, of course, we're still able to get everything back, but it was it just showed that the government does not really care so much about what is going on in not just the blockchain world, but the fintech world at large. Because they did this to fintech about 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, right? When all of a sudden they imposed a very outrageous minimum capitalization of fintechs, and it destroyed a lot of fintech companies in Nigeria. I know fintechs that closed down because of that. So I do not know whether the banks are the ones controlling these because they're afraid of what we're doing because we're taking over the market. The volumes we're doing is crazy, right? And a lot of people use crypto for remittance in Nigeria. So we do not know whether it is the banks that are, oh, we're losing the remittance markets, right? Let's say sending money from the US to Nigeria. People prefer to use crypto these days than to use the banks because it's very inefficient.
On that note, one of the stats that I looked at for this interview, so the remittance intra Africa can be as high as sometimes 30%, or it's extremely high, right? So using the crypto space, it cuts that payment drastically. So to your point, they're losing money. If we have some comments from the audience, let's post that real quick. Chiagozie Iwu, how is your biz handling the news of government lobbying against the use of cryptocurrency? I think he touched on that. And our next question is, what do you think is the motivation behind these attempts and measures? You want to take that on?
Okay, let me answer that. Like, I already touched on that a bit, right? It's basically, I think basically it has to do with the remittance market and the fact that banks are afraid of losing control of the financial markets, basically, right? Because, oh, believe me, a lot is happening. The crypto markets are blowing up in Nigeria, right? The average 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, and it's young people that are more involved in this market, right? Knows more about cryptocurrency than they know about traditional finance.
It's interesting that you said that, right? I'm going to get to Stephen's questions next, but it's interesting you said that. So once again, it's a lot of stuff that even though, like I said, I had family there, we talk, but you don't, sometimes in preparing, you research. Half of Nigeria's population is under 19 years old, right? Literally, that was a crazy stat that I read. Half of the population. So, look, in general, just the youth drives everywhere you see, drives technology change. Things are happening fast, whether it's culture, music, fashion, whatever. It's all driven by that young demographic. So half the population doing that, being more adept to these new ways of banking. So just traditionally going into a bank, if you have a crypto wallet, this may be obsolete to some people. Like, why am I doing that? I can interact in this wallet. So that, to your point that you just said, that let's add another question from the audience. Stephen Better, my guy. All right. Any thoughts around consensus protocols, efficiencies, and the stability of the coin? Is POW still viable as point of sale in the future, and will it be stable enough to support standard commercial use cases? Great question. Do you wanna take that on?
Yeah, I would love to take that. Okay. Basically, why I think Stephen is asking, like basically the debate between POW, which is proof of work, and POS, which is proof of stake, right, in the cryptocurrency world. And I think the current situation with Ethereum is what is actually bringing this up, right? Now we see a situation whereby Ethereum, like, to transfer a token worth $10, I might have to pay $30, which is basically the situation in Ethereum, because Ethereum is a proof of work consensus, right? In fact, on our exchange, this is a major problem. We have users complaining, oh my God, the fees for transferring euros to 20 tokens. are too high, right? Then what are we doing about this? Of course, it's not us, it's Ethereum, right? So proof of work is beginning to seem inefficient when it comes to actual commercial use because of these things. Because the miners in this case, right? The miners, the scalability of the mining networks is very, very bad per se, right? So you have a situation whereby fees get out of hand and it's uncontrollable. Remember, this is a decentralized system. But in the case of a proof of stake, right? You have the case of validators, right? Now, these validators are humans. Of course, in some cases, it's not exactly humans, but these validators have more leverage to actually adjust the basic consensus within the blockchain ecosystem of that particular blockchain. So going forward, we believe that yes, proof of stake is going to be the more of a way to go, right? The already proof of work consensus that exists like Bitcoin would not be a payment solution per se. Maybe let's say it's a wealth storing solution, right? Somebody transferring $1 million does not mind paying $23 as fees, but somebody transferring $50 minds paying $23 as fees, right? So newer cryptocurrencies like Dash is trying to implement more of a proof of work, proof of stake consensus, and even other crypto that are pure proof of stake. Ethereum says they are moving to proof of stake. We're still waiting for that. So it's going to be better to actually for our commercial use to have this. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that question. So, in going back along to the ban, I mean, it was October when there was protests in Nigeria against SARS. So, I mean, it seemed like around from the summer, even in America, it protests around police brutality and so forth. So, one of the things that I've read, right, there were donations coming in. I think I don't want to mess up the exact group. I think the let me get the exact group correct. Yeah, so it's the Feminist Coalition. They collected about 185,000 only at a certain point to have their bank assets frozen, right? But then when they switched to getting donations in Bitcoin, they were able now to start facilitating things. So, I want to get your opinion during that time, and I know you heard about this. What's your take on that? Is this another example of just outside of the system? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, the NSAS protests, right? I see it as more of a young versus old war, right? Because it was mostly young people that were being oppressed by the police agency in question, which is called SIRS, right? They call it a police agency. I call it a bunch of armed robbers in police uniform. So basically, the young people were suffering, right? And we were protesting. They were trying to crack down the protest, right? We tried to donate money to take care of the protesters, to encourage people to protest, to try and help families that have suffered from in the hands of SARS, maybe people that have lost loved ones in the hands of SARS, only for the government to block fiat donations and people switch to crypto. It shows that crypto puts back the power into the hands of the people, right? They basically took out the power from the government. The government can use the banks, they can use the centralized agencies, you can use the central bank, they can use the SEC to remove the hands power from the people. But crypto basically gave the power back to the people. And it was very successful because a lot of donations were actually accepted using Bitcoin, and it helped this particular movement, right? And we see this not just in Nigeria, we see this in a lot of places, right? Where crypto is used for such particular reasons, right? And this is one of the reasons I believe not just the Nigerian governments, the governments are all afraid of crypto because it's removing the norm, right? It's removing in the US, you guys have a problem, money in politics, right? Where the biggest guys, the more money you have, the more you can influence the politician. It's also the problem here in Nigeria, money in politics, right? So imagine if you have more of a decentralized donation system, you actually have people representing the people. Like the NSAS, it just showed a perfect example of this. So I don't think it's a no-brainer here. It's very obvious, right? That the NSAS just gave it the Bitcoin in this case, right? Took the power away from the government and gave it to the people. And we had a lot of justice, even though we're still crying out for more justice because there's still a lot that have not been done. We've had a lot achieved with those funds that were donated. And everything was spent in a very, very, very open way because the blockchain is an open system. It's a public ledger, right? So you know what is going in, what is going out. You can, if it's with the banks, of course, you can hide this. So
no, I mean it's definitely interesting. Like I said, there's so much going on around that time. I just want to kind of understand that. Now moving on to like technology. Can you give us an overview of your technology stack for Niger Crypto?
Okay. Basically, Niger Crypto. The website itself works on Laravel, which is basically a PHP framework, right? That's what is being used to build it. But that's going too deep into the technological application of Niger Crypto. Basically, it uses let me go more into how this technology actually efficates itself, right? Of course, you can build a crypto exchange with any framework depending on what you're trying to achieve. Of course, most of us are using the peer-to-peer on the books, try to go through this way, right? But it's all about a system of wallets, right? Wallets being integrated, right? Of course, it's not like the decentralized exchanges whereby trades are directly facilitated from wallets, right? It's all about a system whereby these wallets are centralized, as we are centralized cryptocurrency exchanges, of course, with some decentralized elements because of the peer-to-peer and the other book, right? So it's basically wallets integrated. Of course, we have a lot of wallets. Over 70% of the exchange is all Ethereum, right? It's all tokens written on Ethereum, right? And the
Really?
Ethereum blockchain, yeah, of course, ERC20 tokens, right? So of course we have non-ERC20 cryptos like Bitcoin Dash, like Coin XRP, right? But most is ERC20 tokens and written which are all tokens that are mostly DeFi tokens, basically, like the likes of UFI, UFI2, SNX Comp, a lot of them all being traded against the Naira. So it's just all this wallet system being centralized, being controlled by the exchange, but having a decentralized in terms of trading values, right? So that's just basically it.
No, thank you for that. Wait, so do you leverage any smart contract technology or planning to?
Not at the moment, but
Okay.
this brings me to an interesting point, right? One of the things we're trying to do in Niger Crypto is, as I said, is securitization, tokenization of traditional financial assets. So one of the things we're doing currently, which hopefully we'll be rolling out in the coming months, is a securities tokenization blockchain, right? A smart contract based blockchain. What do I mean, right? Okay, let's say you want to buy stock of Apple, for instance, right? Or let's say you buy Apple bonds, for instance, right? Now we tokenize this Apple bonds. Of course, for each tokenized Apple bonds, we have actual Apple bonds backing it, right? We tokenize this, and it's tradable on the exchange, but it goes beyond that. Now, using our blockchain solution, right, you could write a smart contract against these bonds and issue things like default swaps, and issue things like interest rate swaps, and issue things like basically just basically in the case insurance contracts against this particular bond, issue out sort of
Wait,
for the average portfolio manager.
Chiagozie, can you repeat
Already.
that last thing? I think we lost it because of internet connections. Can you
Okay.
repeat what you just said, please?
Okay, so as I was saying, you can issue different types of derivative instruments using smart contracts written against these tokenized assets. And for the portfolio manager, this is like a blessing because all you need to do is to type in your mathematical algorithm, right? And assets are created via smart contracts of these particular assets. And whatever you create is tradable peer to peer on the Niger Crypto Exchange.
Nice.
So,
That's
as I
pretty
say,
interesting.
is making the financial markets more open and transparent, right? You cannot issue more than what you have, basically, one of the problems of what led to what happened in 2008, right? So
About the
you
double
have more
spend.
of a, yeah, you have more of a decentralized system for this, basically.
We have a couple of comments. Let's say, Stephen, a vote via your crypto wallet. When we're talking about the voting that you brought up earlier, good point. Another comment. LinkedIn user. I don't know. Oh, it's Medina Williams. Bitcoin as a proxy for the power of the youth movement in Nigeria. Definitely. No, listen. We can go on and on. And look, you're a CEO of a major exchange in Nigeria, and I want to be very respectful of your time. And I want to definitely have you on again. I want to consider you a friend of the show, and definitely like the knowledge and the insight that you bring from being there. I think our audience is really benefiting from that. So a couple of things before we close. How would people go about finding you? Anything that, from the audience we have here in the U.S. that you want them to part them with about Niger Crypto, how they can get involved? What are your, please, how can people find you and stuff?
Okay, basically, they can search Niger Crypto on Facebook, Instagram. I think we have our Facebook, Real Niger Crypto, Instagram, Niger Crypto 2. You can search it, right? If you search Niger Crypto on Google, you will see most of our social media handles. You will also see our websites, www.nigercrypto.com. And I think the US users should also check the payment gateway, because that is not actually centralized, that's more decentralized, right? So NigerPay.io. So you're not there are no regulations preventing you from using that. Like maybe there might be a bit of restriction for using Niger Crypto. But I encourage the US audience to keep an eye on Niger Crypto, at least for the next 6 months, because there is a lot that will be happening that would benefit them and would be of interest to not just the US audience, but users all over the world, basically.
And do you have social media handles if people wanted to follow you and so forth?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I recently deleted my Twitter account for personal reasons. for personal reasons. So yeah, basically the Niger Crypto Twitter can give an insight into not just of course, the company, right? But
Nice.
of course, they can search me on LinkedIn. They can follow me on LinkedIn, Chiagozie Iwu. Follow me on Facebook, Chiagozie Iwu, and yeah, that's basically it. And hopefully in future we'll come back to Twitter.
Nice. No problem at all. Listen, I want to really thank you today for your time, being so gracious with it. Also, the insight that you gave us on cryptocurrency markets in Nigeria, what's going on. Like I said, in the research and talking to you, I definitely learned a lot that I didn't know prior, even though, my mom talks to our family. We talked, we have literally, like, we have family there. Like, I was born in America, but everybody in my family was literally came down during the 70s and so first generation. So, and it's a lot of things I didn't know about the explosion of cryptocurrency there, but it makes sense given the youth population and the adopting of these markets. So I'm gonna, of course, keep in touch with you offline. A lot I want to talk to you about, and looking forward to having you on as a future guest on the show to give some insights. And anytime we have like breaking news in Nigeria regarding cryptocurrency, I'm gonna give you a call and say, listen, we need to get your take on it. We have to get your opinion. I want to know what's going on the ground. What do you see, Chiagozie? So definitely, thank you very much. And to the guest and the audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of your questions. Really, really appreciate it. And look forward to our next week episode at Friday at 12 p.m. I think that's March 5th. I think they have Dina Williams on. So yeah, it's going to be a good conversation, and we'll advertise and post about it moving forward. To everyone, take care and have a great weekend. Chiagozie, stay on 1 second. I'm just going to put this off the screen for a second.
All right.